兄弟姊妹平安。
Peace, brothers and sisters.
今仔日是主日，
Today is the Lord's Day.
咱唔只有擘饼，咱也阁是要传讲信息。
We not only have the breaking of bread, but we will also share the message.
做话正为咱生活的力量，
That the word of the Lord may be
特
the
别
strength
伫
of
这
our
个
life,
特别伫这个末条时代，
especially in these last days,
咱有法通徛在继续这个定心者。
that we can stand firm and be victorious.
那么今仔我要来交通是过稳中的生活。
Today, what I'm going to share is about living a hidden life,
根據路加14章7節到11節，
based on the Gospel of Luke chapter 14, verses 7 to 11.
咱三個來讀者。
Let us read together. 耶穌見所請的客競選數位，就用比喻對因講：你被人請欺負婚姻的宴席，毋通坐佇數位中，恐驚有比你尊貴的客被伊請來，係請恁的人轉來對你講：讓座予這一位吧。你就堅堅少少的退到馬位中去了。你被請的時陣，就去坐佇馬位中，互叫迄請你的人來對你講：朋友，請上座。迄時你佇當時的人面前就講菜了，因為凡自高的必降為卑，自卑的必升為貴。
好，咱先經讀到這。
We end our scripture reading here.
今仔日我愛有一個課堂愛講過穩中的生活，
Today my topic is living a hidden life,
因為伫這個末條時代，
because in these last days,
這個過穩中的生活是蒙保守的人。
one who lives a hidden life is one who is kept.
咱知人的天性攏是愛顯露家己，
We know that man's nature is to show off.
常是看家己過伊所當看的。
He often considers or sees himself more than what he is.
也因着安尼想為家己製造麻煩，
And because of this, he creates for himself these inconveniences.
製造難處，叫人袂得享安息。
He creates for himself troubles that he cannot enjoy rest.
這親像俗語所講的，煩惱只因強出頭了。
Just like what the saying says, that our troubles are created because we want to be first.
煩惱是因着咱愛強要出頭。
Our troubles are created because we want to be the head.
人雖然攏知影這樣的道理，
Although people know this truth or this doctrine,
但也是要就是鑽進煩惱的內面。
yet they still choose to enter into this trouble.
因為因輕看別人是可以，輕看家己是袂做的。
Because they can opt to belittle others, but would not choose to belittle themselves.
難得有人無歡喜被孤舉也難得有人無孤舉家己當看家己。
It's rare for someone to not to be happy when he is exalted, or to be happy when others are exalted.
主告訴人要學習穩重家己，
And the Lord teaches us to learn to hide ourselves
無看家己過伊所當看的，
and not to esteem ourselves more than what we should,
無去爭奪人間的榮耀。
and not to strive for the glory of this world.
這樣就無會互家己蒙見笑苦惱。
In this way, we won't be put to shame and won't create trouble for ourselves.
反是得到光彩甲喜樂，
On the contrary, we will be exalted.
因為
and
人
joy.
無體貼家己，神就體貼伊。
Because when man doesn't consider himself, God considers them.
那麼，咱開始來講，佇這章內面， 我要摘出3點。
I would like to share 3 points in this chapter.
要怎樣繼續穩重嘅生活？頭先是看別人比家己強。
How will we live a hidden life? First is to esteem ourselves or to esteem others better than ourselves.
這個才是真正嘅穩重生活嘅人。
And this is the true meaning of living a hidden life.
7節、10節有講，甲人講嘅，咱看伊聖經啊。
From verses 7 to 10,
耶穌見所請嘅客揀選首位。
and Jesus saw how those who were invited chose the best places.
就用譬喻對因講。
He told a parable to them.
你被人請去婚姻嘅宴席，
When you are invited by anyone to a wedding feast,
唔通坐首位頂，
do not sit in the best places.
恐驚有尊貴嘅客被伊請來。
Lest one more honorable than you be invited by him.
那請恁嘅人啊，前來對恁講啊，
And he who invited you and him come and say to you,
讓這個座位，和這個吧，
give place to this man.
你就堅堅小小嘅退到末位頂去了。
And then you
落尾
begin
位
with shame to take the lowest place.
被請嘅時候，你被請嘅時候，就去坐在落尾位啊，就是末位了。
But when you are invited, go and sit down in the lowest place.
第17節啊，
In these
主
verses,
告訴人，
the Lord told men
要看別人比家己強，
that they must esteem others better than themselves,
承認家己嘅不配。
that they must acknowledge their own unworthiness.
這是無容易做
This
做
is,
到
this is something that is not easy to do.
嘅。人無也要爭做有，
That because man, even if they don't have, they still pretend that they have
就
something.
是人有一點點嘅好，親像有了全世界。
If they have a little bit of good, it seems as if they have the entire world.
我才講啊，
Let me say
人
it
若有
again.
一點點嘅，就好親像有了全世界。
If they have a little something, they pretend to have the whole world.
要伊講家己是有限嘅，伊就覺得為難。
And it's difficult for him to admit that he is limited.
人攏看家己真重要，
Because men often sees themselves as important,
是別人所不及嘅，
that others cannot compare with him.
也是佇人中間所無可招嘅。
And this is that it is rare for men.
只有我這個人在做成功大事，
That only I can accomplish this great feat.
無了我，什麼攏未做成功。
That without me, nothing can be accomplished.
這就是真驕傲啦。
This is the pride of
伊
man.
認為我比別人較好，
He
無我
considers
大項攏無
himself
人做。
As better than others.
神若光照咱啊，
If the Lord illumines us,
咱必看起家己嘅無知啊。
we will see our own foolishness.
咱是10分嘅，真幼稚甲愚昧。
That we are so foolish.
主這樣教導人別人啊，伊家己就是這樣畫出一個榜樣佇人面前啊。
The Lord taught the people in this manner, and he also lived out his life in this way.
點是腓立比書2章6節9節怎麼講？
In Philippians chapter 2, verses 6 to
主耶穌
8, it
伊要
says,
教導人，但是伊家己要做榜樣啦。
the Lord Jesus taught men, but he himself has to first be the example.
所以你看腓立比書 即搭保罗怎讲啊？伊本有神的形象，无以家己甲神同等为强大的。
It says that Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God, did not consider it robbery to be equal with God.
那讲起来，已經本有神的形象啊。
Actually, he already has the form of God.
所以啊，伊無甲神同等為強大的。
Yet he did not consider it robbery to be equal with
反
God.
倒伊虛己除了羅國的形象，假為人的樣式。
But made himself of no reputation, taking the form of a bondservant and coming in the likeness of man.
既然有人的樣式，就家己卑微啊，盡心順服。
In being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient
以致死，且死伫十字架頂。
to the point of death, even the death of the cross.
這是聖經則所講的。
This is what the Bible says.
伊原是尊嚴無比的主啊！
He is the Lord who has honor,
是被懷內的獨生囝，
and he is the only begotten of the Father.
但伊降低家己啊，
But he humbled himself
做了人中間的一個卑微的人啊！
and made himself as a man.
伊允抗了神的榮耀甲華美啊！
And he hid God's glory and
做了一個無加限美容的人啊！
in majesty, and became a man in whom there was nothing beautiful,
也無美貌，互人羨慕伊。
and there was no comeliness in him that would cause people to admire.
這個是以賽亞書53章20節所講的。
This is what is recorded in Isaiah chapter 53, verse 2.
咱本來就該有什麼可誇，
What have we to boast about ourselves?
也無什麼可安尼推銷出去。
And there is nothing special in us.
因着安尼，咱更無有理由去顯露家己。
Because of this, we have no reason to show off.
可能咱覺得，咱你佇人中間是有可誇的。
Perhaps you may think that you have something to boast of before men,
那是神的光臨到咱啊，
but if the Lord's light comes upon
咱
us,
一定會講，會看起家己啊。咱所以為有的，
then surely we won't see anything in ourselves that would be special.
求主實是開咱的目睭。
May the Lord truly open our eyes.
當咱誠實無光照的時陣，
When we are truly illumined,
咱就會看重家己了。
then we won't give importance to
也毋是
ourselves.
故意咱要謙卑，
And it's not because we want to intentionally
你
be
是
humble.
佇神的光中啊，咱看起家己的不配，
Yet in God's light, we see our own unworthiness,
看別人比家己更強。
and we esteem others better than ourselves.
這是一個要佇神面前活得對的人啊，
This is a person who lives rightly before
所
God.
要學的基本的功課。
This is the lesson that the basic lesson he must learn.
阮遮講一個見證互恁
Let me
聽。
share a testimony.
黎明時頓一個兄弟啊，
David Livingstone,
咱知影伊是一個出名對叫做地理學界，伊是一個成功的一個探險家。
he was very famous as a geographic explorer
因為伊對黑暗的大陸啊行過，
because he walked through the dark continent.
對宗教界，伊是一個成功的開展教會。
And in the religious world, he is a successful pioneer.
所以啊，英國就請伊挖倒來，要來歡迎伊。
And so England invited him home to welcome him.
當伊來到的時陣，
When he came back,
伊怀人爱伊起来述说伊怎啊成功，
the people wanted him to share his successes
来炫耀伊的成功啊。
or to boast or show off his
但是伊无
success.
伊只有将伊的衫甲伊脱掉伊的衣服，伊将伊的衫甲褪起来。
Yet he did not. He simply threw aside his cloak.
当伊褪起来时阵啊，逐个人惊着，
When he took off his clothes,
伊
everyone
的
was
身体真
surprised.
侪伤痕啊，甚至是变现了。
His body was full of scars and was disfigured.
伫遮，伊就是承认伊家己无啥物啊。
Here he admitted that he was nothing.
伊若毋是主保守啊，伊今仔都袂算准啊。
That if it was not for the Lord who kept him, he would not even have
因
survived
为
until
伊
today.
捌互西兴加去了，但是啊，还阁有通算准。
Because he was already bitten by lions, yet he was still able to survive.
即搭互人看见，伊是一个会做讲对地学界，伊是一个出名的探险家，但是伊无承认伊是一个真牛的探险家。
He was a famous geographic explorer, yet he did not acknowledge this.
对宗教界来讲啊，伊是一个开展教会是最底无容易开展的所在。伊竟然有人开展，但是啊，伊无显了。
In the religious world, he pioneered in the most difficult places, yet he did not acknowledge this.
干哪子？
Why?
因为伊看别人过伊家己，
Because he esteemed others better than himself.
求主怜悯咱。
May the Lord be
伫
merciful
即
to
个末
us.
条的时代，
In these last
咱
days,
无论伫咱的同事的中间，
whether among our colleagues
兄弟姊妹之间，
or among brothers and
或者
sisters
伫家庭之间，
or in our family,
你是愈谦卑，
the more humble you are,
你会蒙保守，
the more you will be
人
kept,
愈尊重你，
and people will respect
人
you
愈
more.
要亲近你。
People will want to
Love
go
me
near
too.
to you more and love you
所
more.
以求主带领。
So may the Lord lead us.
我无能够加讲出来，见证咱讲第二点咯。
Let's talk about the second point.
第二点是讲让主显明伊的旨意啊。
Second is to allow the Lord to reveal His will to
讲
him.
起第10节、11节怎啊讲啊？
In verses 10 to 11, what does it say?
被请的人的时阵，就去坐伫位顶，呼叫迄个请你的人来，对你讲：朋友啊，请上座。迄个叫做写的人面前啊，就公菜了，因为凡之高的必降为卑，凡之卑的必升为高。
But when you are invited, go and sit down in the lowest place, so that when he who invited you comes, he may say to you, Friend, go up higher. Then you will have glory in the presence of those who sit at the table with you. For whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted.
即个让主来显明咱，这才是正道啊！
Here, allowing the Lord to reveal His will, this is the right way.
在救内面啊，
In salvation,
人真的袂会看起家己配，
people really cannot see their own worthiness.
人一看家己配，伊是无可能接受神的恩典。
Because once a man sees that he is worthy, then it will be impossible for him to accept God's salvation or God's grace.
在恩典内啊，神要将咱升贵啊！
And in grace, the Lord will lift us up.
人心内该重视，
What we must give importance
应
to,
该是以家己互神看重。
it should be that he is given regard by God.
但是無少嘅人啊覺得啊，
Yet not a few people feel
何神看重啊，無夠現實啊。
that it is not practical enough to be regarded by God.
不如家己來抓緊家己嘅好處來得到把握啊。
Why not just regard or strive for ourselves and to have self-confidence?
這一種嘅心思啊，
This kind of thinking
叫伊失去了享用神嘅安息啊。
causes him not to enjoy God's rest.
冇錯，做家己是穩重及謙卑，
It's true that the Lord hid himself
也告訴人要穩重及謙卑。
and is lowly, and he also tells men to hide themselves and be lowly.
可是人只看見簡卑嘅事實，卻無看見穩重家己嘅結果。
Yet man only sees the reality of lowering oneself without seeing the result of hiding himself.
咱常常看見簡卑嘅事實，就是你會互人看，就是叫做互人看扁啊。
We often see the reality of humbling oneself, which is that you will be despised by others.
好親像你簡卑，你這個人啊，會互人看做無當用。
As if when you humble yourself, you will be seen as useless by
卻
people.
無看見穩重家己嘅結果啊！
Yet they don't see the consequences or the result of humbling oneself.
咱想唔知，我若簡卑落來，我嘅結果是什麼啊？
They don't see that if I humble myself, what is the result?
所以佇即種主耶穌要開咱嘅目睭，
So in this chapter, the Lord wants to open our eyes.
咱必須看見做會簡卑，何神看重了。
We must see that the Lord's humility caused God to exalt him or to regard him,
將伊對最低之處啊，升到至高啊！
and exalted him from the lowest place to the highest,
將超乎萬名之上嘅名賜予伊啊！
and gave him the name which is above every name,
叫一切被造嘅攏稱耶穌為主啊，向伊哭唱。
that all creation may bow down to him and call him Lord.
這個是腓立比書2章9節11節所講嘅啊。
This is what Philippians chapter 2 verses 9 to
這
11
就是
says.
主嘅道路。
This is the Lord's way.
這個道路就是讓咱看咱簡卑嘅結果，咱穩重家己嘅結果啊。
And it shows us the result of hiding ourselves and humbling ourselves.
是何神看重，
It is to be regarded
並且被升貴。
and be exalted.
神甲咱升貴是最好嘅，
And when God exalts us, it is the best.
因為被稱為主了。
Because of this, he was called Lord.
神願意看人先簡卑，然後才將伊升貴。
The Lord wants to first see men humbling themselves before they can be
這
exalted.
就是主嘅道路。
This is the Lord's way.
求主帶領我，知道我最見證我
Let me
哋。
share a testimony.
主特別愛咱先謙卑落來，
The Lord wants us to first humble ourselves
所以啊，主來顯明伊嘅旨意。
for Him to reveal His will.
咱知，這是我嘅見證啦。
This is my testimony.
在2004年，
In 2004,
我甲來馬尼拉真奇怪嘅時陣，
when I came back to Manila,
因為我是2002年嘅12月來馬尼拉，來接馬尼拉。
because I came here on the December of 2002.
2002啦。
2002.
啊，所以啊，來等於2002年已結束啦，所以就按2003年算起嘛。
So since I came at the end of 2002, we had to decide by 2003.
所以2004年4月等于到1年外哩。
So by April of 2004, it was only more than a year.
4月10日早起啊，当我起来的时阵，内面有一个催促，叫我要开店教会。
A little more than a year, by April 10 of 2004, when I woke up, there was a moving within me to do church
这
pioneering.
是我真清楚。
And this is what I'm sure of.
所以我甲詹兄弟讲过，
And so I told Brother Chan,
主好亲像爱我就做开店。
it seems like the Lord wants me to do pioneering work.
詹兄弟就甲我回应了。
And Brother Chan told me,
川兄弟，你就安分了啦。
Brother Chua, you must calm down.
这么年来教会就好好该做。
You just do well in Manila.
甚至你身体嘛唔是真好，所以你唔通过分心。
And your health is not that good, so I hope that your attention won't be divided.
唔通想说你要去开店啦。
Don't even think about going into church expansion.
当我听了，
So when I heard it,
求主保守我，我伫得全安静落来。
may the Lord keep me. I was
我
silent.
甲詹兄弟讲多谢我，就是按照我听的。
I told Brother Chan, thank you, and I stopped.
但是经过1年外，
But after more than a year,
我再声音来啊！
the voice of the Lord once again
我唔
came
则
to me.
甲主讲啊，主啊，你就显明嘛，
I told the Lord, Lord, you have
因
to
为我
reveal
嘛是
it.
就甲詹兄弟沟通，
Because I've already shared it with Brother Chan.
所以主显明，
And so the Lord revealed it.
有一个人就是选一个所在，要做开工的所在。
Someone offered a place for the church expansion.
所以我搁再找詹兄弟，我甲詹兄弟讲，1年前你讲了，我就停了。但是这阵主搁再显明，就是有人选这个所在了。
So I went to see Brother Chan again and told him more than a year ago, you told me to stop. And so I stopped and was silent. Yet now someone has offered a place for church expansion.
所以詹兄弟甲我讲，你做咧安心去开店。
And so Brother Chan told me, you can go do church pioneering in peace.
但是你马尼拉就好好过，但是马尼拉你袂做你就马尼拉也就好好该顾好势啦。
But you also have to take good care of Manila,
我
the
说
church
好，
in Manila.
我想袂到啦。
Unexpectedly,
什么时阵咱学习降低落来？
the moment we humble ourselves,
咱唔通强讲，这主就明明讲说我就强做嘛。
let us not keep insisting that this is what the Lord clearly told me,
有
so I
阵
have
啊
to do it.
主有讲，但是时间还未到咧，咱也搁要学习听候。
At times, indeed, the Lord has spoken to you, yet the time is not yet ripe, so we have to wait.
爱互咱谦卑落来。
And He wants us to become
所
humble.
以当我这件代志是蒙主保守我，主爱我学习谦卑，所以过1年外，神就做工主显明了。
So I was kept by the Lord, and this is what God wanted me to learn. So after more than a year, we started
伊
pioneering
的
work,
心意显明了，
and He revealed His will.
所以咱全一直开店。
And so we kept expanding.
咱唔止开店一个、过两个、过三个。
We did not
see.
only expand to a single place, but 2, 3, 4 more places.
有一日啊，
One day,
我哋人主讲啊，着扩大意思，这教会着起会所咯，着买会所咯。
the
扩
Lord
大
told me that you have to enlarge. It means that this church has to, you have to build an
我
assembly.
甲主讲啊，主啊，我无力，
I told the Lord, Lord, I'm powerless.
我也毋捌跩 叫做叫做關心教會兄弟。
I don't know these brothers who are concerned for the church.
了，我也無甲邊有交陪。
I don't have any contact with them.
所以要叫人奉獻唔是很容易啊，要買
So
會
it's
所。
not that simple to ask people to offer for the buying of an
因為
assembly hall.
若是出嚟你家己感動人。
Because and I told the Lord, if it's from you, then may you move them yourself.
所以真奇妙啊！
It's amazing.
真最在顯嘅是，我唔捌你，但是伊捌主，伊會捌我。
Many people who offered for the purchase of an assembly hall, I do not know them.
真奇妙，每一個教會每會所是無送，無主但法無送人來獻。
And it's amazing that in every locality, in the purchase of the assembly hall, the Lord raised up different people.
證明一件代志啊！
It proves one
當
thing,
你嘅穩重嘅生活，
that when you live a hidden life,
你無需要甲人交陪，
you need not make contact
你
with
無
them.
需要巴結人，
You don't need to curry
你也
favor
無
with
需
other
要甲人
people.
討，
You don't need to ask from
自
them.
然是主感動在人來獻。
But the Lord Himself will move them to offer.
所以我唔只經歷什麼時陣，咱讓主來顯明伊嘅旨意啊！
That is why I experienced that the moment we allow the Lord to reveal His will,
唔是咱要怎做，
it is not about how we are going to do it.
什麼時陣你強要做嘅時陣，
Because the moment you insist on doing something,
你無學習謙卑落來，
you do not learn to humble down,
主袂甲咱先貴。
the Lord won't exalt us.
當主無甲咱先貴，
And if the Lord doesn't exalt
當
us,
然咱家己損失啦。
then we ourselves will
因
suffer
為主
loss.
嘅旨意無能佇咱嘅身頂顯明出來。
Because the Lord's will won't be made known in our lives.
這個見證我是捌講過啦，
I have shared this testimony
但是我
before,
愛閣再講啦。
but I wanted to repeat it.
咱知影我捌佇台灣嘅時陣，互人誤會公司將買車嘅錢早推去家己用。
In Taiwan, I was once misunderstood by people as by saying that I took the money for buying the gospel vehicle and used them for my own.
原本要買一頂福音，要買一頂教會嘅車啦，
Originally, we were to buy a gospel
應
vehicle,
該就寫本票啦，
so we had to write a check
安尼較安全啦。
so that it will be more secure,
但是哦，這個也是咱嘅一個兄弟，
so that it will be safer. But because it was a brother,
伊甲我講啦，
he told me,
迄個你要迄頂車管先退來，你不如你用現款把啦，你嘅車唔只會較早退出來。
if you want to claim the vehicle at once, you can use cash.
因為我是愛迄頂車管先退起來，正定要來台灣要辦特會，我愛去接定互定頭一個坐一台新車啦。
Because during that time, Brother Jing was about to come to Taiwan, so I wanted to have the vehicle released at once so that I can use that car to fetch Brother Jing.
所以咱嘅心意是愛互定坐這個新車啦。
So my desire was for Brother Jing to ride this new vehicle.
所以我甲伊個兄弟講，我人迄頂車較早退起來。
So I told the brother, can we have the car at once?
迄個人甲伊講啊，咱嘅兄弟是咧賣進口車，咱現在是要賣國產車。迄個甲伊熟悉賣國產車嘅講，做啊，你就將迄個現錢啊，你就把那現錢啊。
Our brother was selling imported cars, and that person was selling local cars. So that person told our brother that if you want to have it released earlier, you have to pay in cash.
所以我就甲在長老講啊，咱長老接觸講說，咱就用現錢。所以有 这个执事讲，袂做你那一款无安全，你何以等下若去干哪？我说袂啦，这是家己兄弟，所以一定是袂啦，无问题啦。
So when I reported this matter to the elders and deacons, someone said that we cannot do this. It will be safer if we use check payment. But I reassured him, saying that no, it's okay because he's our brother.
所以我唔知说人若无谦卑过，要显扬家己，所以我就坚持说袂，所以因哥不将个现钱退互我。
That's why I say that if a man is not humble and he wants to insist, then this is what happens.
因为我是要显扬我牛嘛。
Because I also wanted to show off that I'm capable.
我能够第一啲坐新车。
That I'm able to allow Brother Jeng to ride a new vehicle.
但是我想袂到。
Yet unexpectedly.
有影现钱互伊经过第二个月啊。
He paid in cash.
当然第一啲跌火了倒去咯，经过第二个月，忽然间有一个叫做收到，叫做。要过教会，因着教会无纳钱啊，买台车，产生啊吼，要过教会公司，教会无还钱啊。
By the second month, Brother Jeng already went home after the conference. Then the church received a letter saying that the company wanted to sue the church because we did not pay.
咱知影车公司有一个产商，甲一个经销商。
The mortgage company.
产商就是嗰啲出产车，经销商就是嗰啲咧卖车嘅。
We know that there's a manufacturer and a distributor.
所以啊，迄个产商要来告阮。
So the manufacturer wanted to sue us.
因为公司阮无收到钱啊。
Because they said that we did not receive the money.
经销商是提责任互产商，甲产商讲，是咱教会无把来啊。
So the distributor blamed us that we did not pay them.
所以原来是安尼，迄个经销商会叫做推销人员，推销卖车互阮诶，伊将迄现钱摕来，伊则来设定。做贷款，所以伊退了，伊就走咯。所以剩的块贷款，咱就无把拉第二个月迄边就要过人。
So the money that we paid full in cash, the sales agent of the distributing company took it and he recorded.
迄個 sales agent.
The sales agent recorded it as a mortgage or a loan, and so because we didn't pay the loan, the manufacturing company wanted to sue us.
所以啊，因着安尼啊，我诚实讲，这哑巴无人讲话，因为跩人公司明明是要分票，你强买现钱现在，这阵要告咱无办啦。
Because of that, I was speechless because these people were accusing me that we originally wanted to pay in check, and now, and because you insisted on paying in cash, now these people wanted to sue us.
所以咱知影，当这个代志传遍教会内面，
So when the news spread,
有个人讲蔡兄弟是将伊个钱摕去叫你博股票。
some people said that Brother Chua took the money to buy stocks.
我诚实，我唔知影什么是股票。
I didn't even know how to engage
我嘛袂
in stock
为着
market.
这个600,000啊，该摕来，安尼我都免输红资料。
If I took the 600,000 NT dollars, then I don't need to serve the Lord anymore.
我若要摕，我嘛就摕6亿较多，再来走嘛袂要紧啊。
If I would get something, then I needed to. It would be better if I got 6 billion,
600 million。
600 million.
但是啊，我诚实无摕，但是互人冤枉是真艰苦。
I really didn't get the money, but it was so hard to be misunderstood.
但是經過這個主話學習，我就謙卑落來。
Yet, after going through this, the Lord allowed me to learn to be humble.
我喺主面前就認罪。
And before the Lord, I had to confess my
當我
sins.
相信呢啲認罪嘅時陣，
When I kept confessing my
你
sins,
想下咪每擺我要徛講台啊，
think about it each time I would stand in
我
the
若要
pulpit.
叫人講信心嘅生活，了人咧講我轉隻教會嗰個車嘅字，我也咁講要怎麼講？
If I were to share about living a life of faith, then people would accuse me of extorting the church's funds, and then it would be very difficult for me.
所以當我服喺主面前，
So when I submitted before the Lord,
我無再表表，
and I no longer
我喺主
defended
呢認
myself,
罪，
I confessed my sins.
想袂到過一個月後，
Unexpectedly, after a month,
忽然間一個批寄來，
a letter was sent to us.
公司伊已經查到原來因嘅迄個員工是推銷員啊，轉借100個客戶，就是將還現款嘅錢，伊該設定貸款，再將還現款就是退去走。
After a month's time, the letter was sent to us that after thorough investigation, they found out that the sales agent extorted money from 100 other customers in the same way that he extorted from us.
所以，阮是其中一個，也是去設定嘅。
So we were one of the victims.
所以，伊講，伊就是這個經銷商啊，要推阮把那產商啊，所以就是經銷商甲阮講對不住，所以伊要甲阮把那迄個產商迄條錢。
So the distributor apologized to us, and they said that they were going to pay the manufacturing company for us.
所以經銷商伫阮嘅面前，甲迄個產商，阮張羅接數伫迄搭去，伊甲阮講對不住，然後即張支票就是經銷商退互阮，叫阮嘴巴啦，就是產商。
So in the sight of the church elders and deacons, the distributing company apologized to us and paid the manufacturing company.
當然，經銷商是對用個叫做保險退出來錢，因為每一個員工要入去做工就有保險，實屬經銷商按來個員工若出唔到，保險公司來賠嘛。
Of course, the distributing company got it from the insurance claims.
所以啊，這件代志才好勢起來。
Then this matter was
所以唔只真常是咱穩重家己，神就顯明伊嘅心意。
That's why a lot of times when we hide ourselves, then the Lord will reveal His will.
唔是咱怎咧講，唔是咱咧指，唔是咱要干哪子。
It is not about how we defend ourselves or insist,
就是你要怎做，
no matter how many reasons
好
you
親像
have,
你講嘅，好親像真對，
and what you say may seem
但
right,
是未顯明神嘅旨意。
yet it won't make God's will known.
當你穩重起來時陣，
But when you hide
你
yourself
謙卑落來，
and you humble down,
主就顯明伊嘅心意出
then
來。
the Lord will reveal His will.
啊，毋是我怎前出，最後是因查到因嘅員工嘅問題，所以因都卡來甲阮回實咧，甚至錢也退阮還。
It was not about how I strived, but in the end, the distributing company themselves called us and paid for us.
第三，
Third,
接受十字架對付。
accept the dealings of the cross.
咱知影知道有一個聖經節11節講啊，
In verse 11
凡
it
自
says,
卑嘅必先為貴啊。
For whoever humbles himself will be exalted.
人嘅天性為自卑啊，
Man's nature is not humble.
人常常一直看家己是遐尼貴啊，
Man often sees himself highly
因為人真驕傲。
because man is
但
proud.
是當人 蒙光照的时阵，
Yet when a man is illumined,
就是神的光临到伫这个人的身
when
边，
God's light comes upon someone,
人才谦卑落来。
only then will he become humble.
这个光就是十字架的光，
And this light is the light of the cross.
亲像保罗伫个大马色四面的光照，保罗会叫做自信，保罗会骄傲，保罗认为伊为着宗教大发的心，在笼中放落来了。
Just like when the light shone around Paul on the way to Damascus, his self-confidence, his faith in himself, and his pride, and even his trust in his own zealousness for the religion of his forefathers, they all fell down.
毋是伊故意要谦卑，伊是伫神的光中，伊诚实已经拍倒落来。
It was not because he intentionally wanted to be humble, but
就
in
是
God's light, he fell down.
就是伫十字架光中已经受对付过。
And he was dealt with by the light of the cross.
咱知人的愚昧啊，无伫只有在生活中再显露。
We know that man's foolishness can only be revealed in their living.
生活是将一个人的本相啊，叫做全联，会叫做显，给拆开啦。
Our lifestyle or our living will expose what a man is.
会讲属灵道理的人啊，伊的生活不一定是属灵。
Someone who can share spiritual doctrines may not necessarily be spiritual in his
甚
life.
至是全联的属肉体，是属肉体的人。
And even more so, maybe he is a carnal man.
道理是人的头脑内所出来的物件。
Because doctrine is what comes out of man's mind.
属灵的生命是无相的两件事。
Yet spiritual living is entirely different.
你生活才是生命的表现。
So our living or the way we live is the manifestation of our life.
要看你到底你是属灵，是根据你生活将这个基督的生命给活出来。
If people want to see whether or not you are spiritual, it is based on living out the life of
唔
Christ.
是你会做讲真奥妙的道，
You can share mysterious messages.
你有能讲解一块叫做道理真奥妙高深的道理，
You can explain profound messages or doctrines.
但是你若袂甲活出来，
Yet if you are unable to live them out,
你只不过是一个叫做讲道的人。
you are but a speaker.
伫神的眼中看，你这款人是无什么。
You are but a preacher, and in God's sight, you are nothing.
你只不过甲法利赛人的光景中相同一样。
And your condition is but like that of the Pharisees.
重要是你将因为生活是将咱摆伫神面光中啊。
Because our living places us before the light of God's face.
咱的灵内若是疏醒啊，
So if our spirits are awakened,
必会看见家己的残缺不全啊，
we see our own impoverishedness.
唔敢再夸耀家己啊。
And we dare not boast about ourselves.
生命的实际是在生活中一显露。
And once the reality of our life is revealed through our living,
所以啊，咱的生命若显露基督该活出来，
so if our living reveals Christ,
伫神来看，这个才是属灵的。
in God's sight, only then is it spiritual.
但是咱这个生命要怎个显露出来？
But how is it lived out through our
因为
living?
人要怎谦卑落来，
How can a man become humble?
是着经过神的光中来对付落去，
It is through the dealing of God's light.
是当主光照咱，
When God illumines us,
咱看见家己的不堪，
and we see our own unworthiness,
咱再谦卑落来。
only then will we become humble.
这个就是十字架光来对付人。
And this is the light of the cross
亲像
dealing with us.
保罗当十字架光照的是四面的光照，这面伊看见明白家己，因为有十字架将伊这个人杀死了。
Just like when Paul, when the light shone around him, the light of the cross came upon him, he was struck down.
所以唔只头一句讲主啊，你是谁啊？
That's why the first words he said were, Lord, who are you?
咱知影当时无随便讲主啊，
We know that during that time, the word Lord is not
因
said
为主啊
randomly.
就是主人啊。
Because when you call someone Lord, it means
保
that
罗
he is
以
your
前伊
master.
是家己是伊主人啊，
And before, Paul used to be his own master.
但是经过跟十字架对付了后啊，伊这个人啊完全降服落来。
Yet after the dealing of the light of the cross, he surrendered.
所以一个人要过稳重的生活是，你需要伫新的光中问光照。
And so if a man wants to live a hidden life, you need to be illumined by God's light.
就是经过十字架对付。
You must go through the dealings of the
所以当
cross.
你接受十字架对付，
And when you accept the dealings of the
你
cross,
这个人才过着稳重的生活。
only then can you live a hidden life.
我剩真少的时间，我讲淡薄我家己的见
I
证。
only have a little time left. Let me share some testimony.
我以前啊，我
Before,
认为啊，医学是真上进，
before
医学已经真上进了。
I used to think that the medicine is already very
现
advanced.
在发明用的叫做抗生素 antibiotic，
We have antibiotics,
所以啊，各种病叫我能医治啊。
and so almost all illnesses can be healed.
但是经过最后，经过安尼多年破病了后，内勤破病，
Yet after many years of my wife being sick,
主和我一直复活伫主的面前，接受十字架对付。
the Lord caused me to keep falling prostrate before the Lord and accept the dealings of the
我
cross.
就一直活伫主的面前，
I have to keep living before
无
God.
什么通骄傲。
There's nothing to boast of.
我就一直活靠主，实是靠主的生活。
I had to keep relying on the Lord and depending on Him to live.
主一直跟着我，
The Lord kept illumining.
实是我真正伫主的面前一直谦卑。今仔日我能生活，我能生存，我能保守平安过日子，拢是主的怜悯。
The Lord showed me that today I can be kept, I can still survive. It's all by the mercy of God.
现在常常听到谁啊破病着COVID，话干啊子，真侪款的病。
Nowadays, we often hear this person or that person getting sick.
所以啊，互咱唔敢骄傲讲，我能保守家己，我能靠家己来过生活。
This keeps us from being proud that we can keep ourselves or rely on ourselves to live.
完全啊，是经过十字架对付，我这个人才谦卑落来，一直活靠主。
And through the dealings of the cross, I became humble and relied on the Lord.
好，我的话就听到这，
My sharing ends here.
祈祷这了。
主赞美你，感谢你，主啊，我们藉着今仔在为主你继续再来工作阮，主啊，互阮我通真正学习，要怎样活伫你的面前，主啊，要怎样过一个稳重的生活，主啊，你来临面，主啊，互阮主啊是安尼，我通真正伫你的面前，主啊是自卑的，主啊，毋甘主看家己比别人搁较好，主啊，若是主我通一直看见。主啊，阮这班人是何等的不堪！
阿门。
主啊，若毋是你怜悯恩典，主啊，临到伫阮的心中，主啊，连得救的机会，主啊，阮也拢无有。主啊，阮感谢你，主啊，这拢是你的恩典，主啊，伫你的恩典面前，主啊，阮无啥物通夸口，主啊，阮只有法通讲，主啊，阮是这个罪人，蒙了你大的恩典。
阿门。
主啊，当愿你来临面主。主啊，你在主安尼再来光照阮，主啊，互阮我通一直做学习， 主是安尼，主安尼毋敢，主安尼直接来骄傲，主乃是我通一直主看起，主阮今仔日若有啥物，主若是啥物，主一切拢是你所做的，主阮感谢你，赞美你，主互阮我通一直来活好你，主是这个主安尼，主是主你来。带领阮，主互阮的生活，主动作存留，主是主安尼拢是靠着你的，主阮感谢你，赞美你，主当然你来带领阮，主我通。主安尼来接受，主安尼十字架的对付，主是个当你十字架的光，主临到伫阮的心中，主亲像保罗一样，主阮这班人主被拍倒，主是这个主互阮毋敢，主安尼骄傲起来，主只有我通来讲，主你是阮的主，主你是阮的主人。主阮是你的仆人，主当愿你来任免，主你的旨意，主伫阮的心中，主安尼来显明出来，主是你的旨意，主我通伫阮的心中来安尼来成全，主阮感谢你，赞美你，主阮将阮家己搁一摆来显互你，伊都是靠这耶稣的名。